Hello, this is Lisa Cara from In Balance Pilates. I want to welcome you today to this feature interview. I am so happy to have on Dr. Corriveau, Dr. France Corriveau. She's the owner of Vision Ability. She's an optometrist here in Ottawa. So I want to welcome you, Dr. Corriveau, to the interview today. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Well, it's an honor to have you. And as we talked about before, special, deep, heartfelt thank you from myself, my husband, my children. Dr. Corriveau is the optometrist that I saw for vision therapy for a good year and a half every other week as I went through post-concussion symptoms and all the things that go along with that. And I just wanted to have her on today to really give you an indication for some of the vision therapy things and vision issues that you can kind of look at and be aware of in your own life, whether it's due to a concussion or another type of brain injury, or Dr. Corriveau can tell us some other signs and symptoms and conditions that you'd be looking at and things like that. But just to really give you a perspective on some other things to look out for, some other treatments to be able to dive into. So, yeah, so again, I wanted to welcome you today. So, tell us a bit more about your clinic and just opening that and some details around that. And
Yeah,
congratulations again, because that is a wonderful, wonderful accomplishment.
yeah, thank you. We were a bit bold and decided to open a brand new clinic during the pandemic. But we opened in November 2020, and optometry has always been a passion of mine. And in the last, I would say, 10 years, vision therapy has really become a huge passion of mine. I started initially mostly seeing kids and adults with learning difficulties or strabismus, which is an eye that turns in or out, or one eye that's weaker. And then in 2015, my sister was involved in a pretty severe car accident, and it left her with a brain injury. And she had vision problems. She had double vision. She had a lot of symptoms that nobody else in her care team kind of knew what to do with. She was dizzy. She was losing her balance. And she had those crazy headaches as soon as she tried to read or look on the computer. And so that kind of took my practice on a different tangent and got me really interested in looking into what role does vision have to play when somebody suffers from a brain injury, and how can we make it better. So our practice, although we do primary care optometry, we really focus on vision development and vision rehabilitation. So it can be anybody that their visual system is not performing to their full potential. So it can be someone that was born with a visual system that unfortunately didn't fully develop, or didn't kind of reach his full potential, or somebody who had a visual system that was working well, but because of an injury or anything like a stroke or even epilepsy, something has changed and now they're having symptoms. So that's kind of what we focus on, and we help these patients through vision therapy. Yeah.
With various very challenging and difficult exercises
Yes.
to challenge both the memory and just pattern and problem solving and all of the things. There's so many things that go along with concussions, whether it's with the vision field or, so many different aspects of it. So your patients start with a doctor's referral, do they? Or
Yeah, so it can be a doctor's referral. We get a lot of patients referred by either their physiotherapist or their occupational therapist, so somebody in their post-concussion care team. We've also had people just kind of calling saying, my friend did vision therapy, or this person I'm in a group with did vision therapy and it worked well for them. So people don't necessarily need a referral. If there is somebody that recommended it and noticed something in particular, then we like having their thoughts and why they think it would be a good idea,
Mhm.
but it's not mandatory.
Okay, and then there are various exercises that then the patients would be instructed to do on their own time?
Yes.
Oh,
So our program is very tailored to each individual patient. So we have patients that come once a week for vision therapy, other that come biweekly or monthly. We have people that come once, then we give them exercise that they work on their own and come back when those exercises are easy. We really try to adapt it because we know that every concussion is different, every person is different, and everybody recovers at their own rhythm.
mhm,
So we want to make it successful for everyone.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, then that's the thing, to be able to be approachable, whether it's someone that wants to be able to come and see you in person or doing the virtual aspect, which is so wonderful that you do have both options. Because
Yeah,
everyone's learning is so different, and just whether they have to take into consideration the travel and all the mental decisions that come along with
yes,
getting somewhere, right? I used to remember, my gosh, just with that ringing in the ears when I would go into my closet to get clothes out for the day, my ears would start ringing just from making the decision of what clothes to get out.
yeah,
And, I mean, we've had many discussions, as I said earlier. I saw you for a year and a half every other week. And for that time, you were the only practitioner that I was seeing. I think sometimes we can go through some trust issues after brain injury. And, when you find someone that works and you feel comfortable being able to share, because I mean, at times there's so many odd symptoms that are going on. And if you haven't had memory issues, if you've never had migraines or headaches or been the type of person to want to nap during the day, to be told to slow down and pace is, if you have a stubborn person, it's a lot to work with. It's a lot of layers to really stop and listen to what the body needs and what your practitioners are telling you. I would also always remember how emotional and how fatigued I would feel the night of and the day after vision therapy. It was really
yes.
taxing, but obviously worth it and needed, because for myself, here I am. And I always say, like, I'm better, whether I say 95% better or better. I don't get the headaches anymore. I can follow recipes now. The memory is better. All the things that were affecting me before.
Yeah, it's amazing to see you because I do remember the first time we met, and it's amazing to see your recovery and what you've accomplished. It's really great to see.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to hear. It's nice to come full circle. And
Yeah,
because, as I said, when you're busy, self-employed, busy mom, I'm a mom of two kids, of a wonderful husband. I think, that too is what helped get me through it so well, is I did have the support of a supportive husband who, if I was going through that awful time in the day where all the lights were brighter, all the noises were louder, everything was just amplified. He, being a supportive husband, he could, "Oh, I'll take the kids to the grocery store and at least the house is quiet." When are completely alone and maybe don't have that type of support. And I think that's why it's also given me that extra fight to want to show up for people that are left feeling so devastated, because whether they have colleagues that aren't believing them, or family physicians that are giving them a hard time filling out paperwork, or the wide variety of issues.
yeah.
Mm.
Concussion is such an invisible injury. Um, when you break a leg, it's easy for the people around you and your employer and everyone to know that, you know what, I still have the cast on. I'm not healed yet. The concussion, the person looks fine, but they're not fine. And I think for a lot of patients too, just the like following the initial assessment, what we hear a lot is, okay, so you mean I'm not crazy? Like there is a reason for these symptoms. And so just kind of giving a justification that there's a physical reason from the concussion, that reading is hard or driving is tiring, or the sound of things that you loved before, the sound of music might be very irritating for a short
Yep.
period of time or a long period of time, depending on
Yep.
how
Or
easier.
certain rooms, I remember I would always have a lot of trouble, and you explained it very well, the reasons why, being in a big open room, that
Yeah,
was really difficult for me. Being in a room where there was a fan flickering above me was just too much. Immediately, we would feel drunk or
yes,
so yeah, and as we said before, it's such, to go from healthy and as I said, not having memory issues, all the things to suddenly whether it's pain that you're going through or not, aphasia type things, not spitting out your words properly, not being able to follow instructions, whether it be from a recipe or I always had a really hard time with forms, and I'm sure a lot of your clients, and
yes,
then gets stressful, and then as a human being that has done so many wonderful things in your life, and then you come to fill out a form, you're like, why am I having so much tension and stress
yeah,
filling out a form? And then, leads to those feelings of worthiness that we really have to dig into. And if you don't have someone that you can comfortably say those fears to, you don't want to sit with that stuff. You want to be able to clear it out, get the positive reinforcement, and move on. And I always thank you that you were so good at saying, recognizing that every brain is so different. And, you were very good at giving me the advice of do whatever feels easy and light for you. So it made me feel very good to continue learning things on WordPress for my website. It was very devastating to have to close my brick and mortar. So being able to still have that lifeline with my clients via email and online things and programs. Whereas to someone else, it might have just been like, why are you wasting your time doing anything on the computer? But the
yes,
value of, what me feeling productive and positive outweighed the fatigue.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, and everybody reacts differently and everybody has different triggers. But I think like listening to your body, like your body talks to you, and a lot of time the symptoms get worse. It's because maybe it's time to take a pause or maybe try to do something else. But yeah, listening to your body and do the things that make you happy and are feel easy. They may not be easy, but if they feel easy, then
Yep.
it's such a sense of accomplishment, as well as you were saying, to be able to continue and to produce something and have projects and things to look forward to.
Yeah, yeah. And you were along the ride with me for being able to be a contributor in the book that I was in Women Who Inspire. And that was wonderful to be able to share that because, yeah, it was something that there's all these other things going on with a business closing and that, but I knew that that was something that would at least carry me through into new doors and new career paths and having to go on a flight to Philadelphia during that time.
Yeah.
So many people wonder, how's flying going to be? What's the pressure going to be like? Is it, and I mean, as you said, everyone does respond differently, but being able to have someone to ask those detailed questions to, you're not going to run to your family doctor every time you have a question like that, but to be able to have someone in your back pocket that is like really in your corner, such as yourself.
Yeah.
It's so important to get those types of questions answered. How can I modify if it is the big open room that's bothering me? And you can, offer up the hoodies and hats and glasses and things like that. It was such a valuable resource aside from the empathy and caring, kind nature that you are, which I always am so grateful for.
Yeah.
So grateful for. And I mean, for myself too, like do you find that a lot of your patients, have been able to turn to things that calm their brain, such as meditation and breathing exercises? 'Cause I know
Yeah.
that helped me a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Meditation, mindfulness is huge, and then yoga and Pilates as well. As long as they take it slow and listen to their body. But yeah, if
Yeah.
anything that is kind of a whole body approach, and really, yeah, breathing is definitely a
Yes,
huge part.
breathing and getting into the body and movement. Plus with endorphins, there's so much to be said for
Yeah,
exercise and endorphins. I know, yes, at times, having to be really mindful of cardio and what, heart rate and things like that. But again, the finding the stuff that works for you or the time of day that works best for your brain, where you have a lot of those reserves, you don't have to do 10 other things that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, can be hugely helpful. And for myself, I mean, I've taught Pilates for 20 years. I had had the studio for 11 years at the time of when I had hurt my head. And as you know, but people, not everyone that's watching knows, it was a cartoon injury. You probably had a good laugh about it a couple times. I was the one that, yep, went into my garage, stepped on a rake that was leaning against the wall, and it clocked me in the head like a bat. And never in a million years would I have expected that something so silly would have lasted, that long. I remember that night going and working I think I had 2 classes in a row. And then the next day I had 7 sessions in a row. And aside from having an unbelievable headache, my first indication was, why am I not spitting out my words correctly? Like, what's going on here? Then I finally went to the doctor a couple days later. Stubborn non-doctor person here, that's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the thing, you don't realize, and I mean, sometimes it's night and day different when you have, if it's an MVA, WSIB, there's so many levels to doctors and modified and going back versus a self-employed person that doesn't have any criteria on them. There's no one watching over if they should go back or shouldn't go back, and there can be many pros and cons to both sides, to both
Yes.
avenues. So yeah, just having that wide gamut and understanding for what people are going through based on their inner drives, or whether what they're still having to or feel like they have to show up for, right?
Yes.
Whether it's with regards to how much parenting, how old your children are. I remember you would always say to me that, yeah, there is a difference with all the duties of motherhood stacked on to someone, versus if you're, not having to care for others.
Yeah, I think there's actually a study out that says that um, the concussion patients that will take the longest to recover are mothers because they put other people's well-being before their own. So um, I find personally it's kind of a success when I get my patients that are mothers to take time for themselves and invest time in feeling better and not just doing their exercise, but taking time by themselves or taking time to just relax and do the mindfulness or kind of see themselves as a priority and not just the people around them.
Yes, and just to know that it's okay, that you're worthy enough to take that time for yourself to focus on yourself and focus on healing. And
Yes.
yeah, yeah, that it's so important to have, um yeah, to be able to find those outlets, whether it's mindfulness, breathing, any type of calming meditation, exercise, to really get that in your calendar, or to know that, if you're not getting it done, how can you find a little bit extra accountability around the situation, if it's trying to get
Yes.
exercise done, and two, just being able to take the time to understand how important that pacing is, and that it's not selfish to have to
No,
take that time to be quiet, or yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Vision is such a huge part of our day.
Hmm.
It takes so much energy, even if everything is working perfectly, so
Yeah.
that when it's not working perfectly, it it can change everything in your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
One of
being
my favorite
aware of that.
mentors, business mentors, Danelle Delgado, one of her big sayings is, "Who loses if I don't win?" And I would even apply that to my whole pacing thing. Like, who loses if I don't win? As in, if I don't take care of myself in this moment, who loses? It's my family that's out, because here I've had to take a little bit extra, like there's so many
Yeah.
different, whatever gets you through that, knowing that, just always trying to focus on the health and how can I be successful in this situation? How can I apply more loving kindness to myself in this situation and not be so hard on myself, but yet have your eyes on I will get better. I will do
Yes.
whatever it takes to get better. There's nothing stopping me from
Yes.
getting better. Mindset plays such a huge role just in just how you show up on the daily, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's not to say it's all that and it's your fault for not at all. It's just taking
No.
that ownership of, okay, how can I be the best version of myself today?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether that's doing the exercises, going to your treatment appointments, or doing the pacing aspect of things. Yeah, it's so important. And then, as we said, getting in the physical exercise and the things that feel good, whether it's mindful movements or getting outside in nature.
Yes.
So important wherever you can slow down, but then still bring the mind back to the focus of, I will get better. I'm going to make a plan to get better. I'm going to have
Yes.
people in my life that support the getting better. I can even remember at the beginning, I'm very good with business. I find there's so many business and entrepreneur lessons that just apply to healing in general.
Yes.
And, whether when you're starting a new business, it's so important to filter out the friends, family, and people that have never owned a business and listen to your business mentors that, have been there. But same with, we have to take that ownership and know how important our lives are. And if we have people around us maybe that are being really negative and why aren't you better yet? And oh, Sally down the street had a way worse accident than you and she's already better. Sometimes you just don't need those people in your
Yeah.
life. And it might be a harsh reality, but what healing has to come first, and having
Yeah.
those supportive type loving people that believe in your success and potential to get better versus why aren't you better yet, it's a very different attitude and support system.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I think one thing too to remember is it's never too late to start the process of, like, I've seen people few months after their injuries. I've also seen people 10, 15, 20 years after their injury, and they're still making progress. They're still getting better. So I think it's important also to not give up and say, oh, well, I've been like that for so long. That's the end.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to
And
be
for
the
some
end.
of those people, are they coming to you so much later because they didn't even realize that some of those symptoms may have been attributed to that car
Yes.
accident years ago? Or
Yeah. So they had an eye exam and their vision was good and their eyes were healthy. So they didn't know that we could look at other things past eye health and
right.
clarity of vision.
And
Um,
my vision changed so much aside from what was going on during that time. Like, I don't even wear distance glasses anymore. Like, it
mhm.
knocked my sight into better sight for some reason. And do you find that
It
here
can
that it can
change.
really
Yeah.
change my prescription?
Yeah, so there's kind of two reasons to need glasses. It can be structural. It can be like the shape of your eye, but it can also be kind of an adaptation that the eyes and the brain will make to make things easier.
Mhm.
And so we'll find oftentimes after a brain injury, the prescription will change in one direction and the other. But yeah, we've seen it quite a bit. So it's not something that I would advertise. Like you won't
Right,
need
no,
glasses after,
not the way to get better eyesight.
but
Believe me.
it can definitely change.
Yes, no, very, yes, yes, we wouldn't suggest that. And
No.
then, and then I guess your patients have like a wide variety of kind of how much time they need to dedicate to doing their exercises each week and that kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Some people, and it's also for a lot of people, it depends on their approach to things and their personality as well. Some
And
people
how
really,
long I guess it takes to recover after, because as I said, there was
exactly.
definitely no way the next day I was doing any of your
No.
exercises. I was just recovering from, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's the thing, I mean, too, like, when you're not used to even being a napper,
Yeah.
to stop during the day and listen to your body when you are feeling that. Like, I find sometimes now, as I say, I'm totally great, but there's days where if I have been on the computer, like I just finished a big project last weekend, and by the end of that day, I was mixing up words and had a headache, but it was an excessive amount of computer that probably anyone would have felt a little bit foggy after. It was too much. Still stubborn. But but no, it's, yeah, listening to your body and listening to those cues, whether it's just adding more water, listening to your body on eating healthy, finding ways to batch your activities,
Yeah.
right? Like I used to notice, I haven't had to do this year because my children have been home and doing school at home, which is awesome for us. But even as a mother, standing in the kitchen at the island to chop stuff, I quickly learned that you get everything out, get all the stuff out, all the containers out, all your knives out, chopping boards, everything, so that you're decreasing the turning, turning, turning,
Mhm.
turning, right? And finding those, if you're not seeing any therapist of any sort, to not even pick up on these little modifications and tips and tools and tricks that can really help. I mean, it's such a wealth of knowledge just to learn these little batching techniques or breathing techniques, or, ways to
Absolutely.
conserve energy that you might not have thought of, whether it's spend one day to pick out 5 outfits and then
Yeah.
they're out, or, there's so, or have the same types of things that you like to wear. It's that Steve Jobs, and just don't worry about the rest. Have your few only outfits and that's it. But yeah, being able to just get those extra tips and to be able to say things that, whether it's a symptom that you don't want to talk about with someone, but at least you can share with you, right? Like whether it's
Absolutely.
memory things that you're just like, am I getting Alzheimer's? Like, what's going on here? You don't want to stress out your partner or whatever. So yeah, it's so invaluable to have practitioners and doctors that are providing the necessary tools and kindness and compassion. As we both said before, as with the invisible injury, if someone is on crutches and broke their leg, we would never say, like, how dare you, like, put those crutches down and start running, like you are using this as an excuse, we are tired of it, get over it. Like, that would not happen. And the level of judgment that some people can put on people, it's heartbreaking. So that's why I've always been so passionate about helping people, especially those that are maybe, going through having some of those other pulls on recovery, because it really can hinder certain things when you're up against those extra layers of drama.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, so find yourself supportive practitioners that can help keep you focused on just, yeah, ways to be productive and positive and not give up. And if one thing's not working, okay, what are some other things we can try? Just being accommodating to that is so, so, so important. And just being able to provide people different ways, because in seeing so many different patients that are at different levels and different backgrounds and different demands for their day, to just see different things that have worked for
Yeah.
people. I find the internet can be a wonderful place. I find certain Facebook groups in with the brain injury community can be they're not very willing to share things that have worked with people, which is sad, because they, if you're only saying this one discipline works and nothing else, and they won't allow, you talking about other, it's just, you want to be, this is a time where you really want to be open-minded
Yes.
to what might have worked for this person, or what's something else we can try. And as you said, to not give up, or
Yeah. And you have to find what works for you. Um, I'm obviously not saying vision is the answer for everyone. The people that see me for vision therapy, obviously vision plays a role in their symptoms.
Mhm.
But yeah, you have to find the treatment and the practitioners that work for you and ensure your recovery for
Yes.
sure.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And where is your clinic located? You can tell.
So yeah, so Vision Ability, we are off Hunt Club between Prince of Wales and Maryville.
Okay. And I'm sure there's lots of parking there.
Yes, yeah, that was very important to me, that we had a big office that was quiet, with the lights that we can turn off if we need to.
Yeah.
So low light, low sound, tons of parking, and we are wheelchair accessible as well.
Okay. And you have your website is visionability.ca.
.ca.
And then you also have a Facebook page, you were saying?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Which is just Vision Ability as well. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And do you have other therapists working there as well?
Yes, yes. So we have, so there's myself as the optometrist, and I have two amazing therapists that are helping me see patients, and another one in training. So I have a really good team here,
Oh,
that they're
that's fantastic.
all passionate individuals. So yeah, really happy.
Oh, I know that you would only attract like-minded people like that. I'm assured of that for sure. Oh, that's awesome. Well, again, I just want to congratulate you on
Thank you.
going for it and opening your own clinic, especially, as we said, in times like this when there's so much going on and, opening a business is such a risk. So congratulations. I commend
Thank
you for
you.
cheering you on. As I said, I thank you and my family thanks you so much for just providing so much care and support and understanding, because as we know, not everyone is available to give that to people. Especially if you've never been through a brain injury, if you have no idea, what the person's going through, it can be a little bit harder to have empathy and compassion. So I just extra thank people that are just have a good heart to be able to care and nurture for people that are going through such a confusing and scary time in their life.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. And it's so great to see you again and see how great you look, and all the good that you're doing.
Well, thank you. It was very rewarding to take on new projects, to be involved in Women Who Inspire and some other writing projects. And then I always have fun nowadays just creating breathing exercise programs and meditations online, and then Pilates online. I do some Pilates by Zoom as well. So yeah, to when one door closes, you've got to keep that open mind to, well, I always say in my chapter, this didn't happen to me, it happened for me. And I know right
Yeah,
at the beginning of my injury, I had to hold on to, okay, because I knew I was going to lose my brick and mortar. I knew there was no way I was going to be able to. I kept thinking I was going to just downsize it. I didn't realize I was going to be moving it to my house. But going through closing a business just provides so much. There's a certain level of grief that you go through,
yep,
and so it's a lot to maneuver through, and to be able to look at, okay, this didn't happen to me, it happened for me. There has to be some good that comes out of this. Some books, some writing projects, some new, if I had have just been only focused on losing my studio and not been open to, okay, well, maybe there's other things I can do. Oh, and I just recently won the Ottawa Cases Best Pilates
amazing.
Instructor Award. So
That's awesome. Congratulations.
after all of that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So had I have just, not there was definitely a level of perseverance, mindset, and
Yeah.
daily personal development. And that's one thing I would tell everyone is do the breathing exercises, do the meditation, find the movements and exercise that work, and daily personal development, whether it's listening to audiobooks if you can't, if you're not reading. I definitely wasn't reading for a long time there. Do what works to just take in that positive successful, thoughts, write those affirmations down, write stuff on the mirror, on the post-it notes, whatever it takes to reprogram that mind that you're going to fight for that progress no matter what.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And thank you. Thank you again for like standing by me and being there. Thank you for everything that you do for so many patients here in Ottawa and in other cities you've worked in as well. And yeah, we all just thank you so much. And I'm excited to
Thank
share
you.
this out and have more people be able to get really great treatment from you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. And thanks to everyone for tuning into this feature interview. Again, this is Lisa Cara from Inbalance Pilates. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. I'm going to turn off the Facebook part. So thanks again, everyone.